Hello, everyone. My name's Detective Money. I'm with the Riverside Police Department. Wanted to put together a quick video, more or less an instructional video, not just for my La Sierra University students for their scam portion of their classes that we have, but also just for the general public. We want to try to keep the general public informed of some of the more common scams that are out there. Some of you guys may know I work for the Riverside Police Department. I actually work in major fraud investigations, and a lot of the reports that cross my desk, I have singular insight on, and we often see a lot of cases now. What's happening is what they call skimming. We did a recent documentary, very interesting, by the way, on EDD fraud. It was put on by KCRA, and it's called EDD fraud, funny enough. It's also titled The Biggest Fraud in U.S. History, which it certainly is. And it's just in a few months, it's already hit 500,000 views. So it's a good documentary if you get a chance, just kind of see what happened, all the shenanigans that occurred with EDD and some of the breakdown there. But residually, and what we haven't been able to itemize yet, is the secondary fraud. So with the EDD cards, and EDD cards are the debit cards that Bank of America, a few other banks put out. One of the big downfalls is that the cards themselves aren't chip enabled, which doesn't totally mean that a chip enabled card can't be hacked and skimmed. It can. But what we want to do is just kind of show you what to look for. So the very first thing I'd like to show you is one of the devices that the crooks use actually to skim a card. You may go to an ATM machine and you're going to see a device possibly like this. If you do, kind of keep an eye out. That's a bad thing. It would typically be sitting on the side, one of the other sides of the ATM keypad. If you could imagine, I'm using the keypad here. It could even be on the top. Okay, and the whole purpose of this is that there's a small little keyhole, very small, you could barely see it, that is going to be attached to the ATM, and it's going to be capturing the data as you're actual keying in the PIN number, your PIN number, whether it's 4 or 6 digits, whatever it may be. I'm not going to go into detail on how to make this because it is an organized crime group. They're very successful at this sort of skimming or scam. They use cell phones, old cell phones that they take apart. And I can tell you, I'll show it to you briefly, but I don't want to go into great detail, like I said. So basically, we have a bunch of cell phone batteries here. We have a cell phone camera. And oddly enough, an SD card that's put inside the cell phones themselves. And this SD card will actually capture numerous videos of people keying in their cards. So this device could probably stay active for, I don't know, 48 hours, 72 hours with the multiple cell phone batteries, and capture video each time of people entering their PINs. Now the second device that the crooks will install is the actual skimming device itself. This is placed inside the card slot. You won't see it, you won't notice it, but as you can see, it has some small electronic, it's just basically a little instrument that captures the data on your card, okay? Now what that does is, if you could imagine, we stick the card in, it skims that data, captures it, and they could basically then take this, download this onto a computer, and recreate another card exactly like that. Then they correlate the skim data to the device, the actual video device, and that's how they capture your PIN. Again, chip-enabled cards are more difficult to hit, but they could do it. I've seen chip-enabled cards too. Sadly enough, sometimes a victim will get hit and they'll tell their bank, hey, someone used my card. out in Los Angeles, and it isn't me. And every once in a while, the bank will say, well, it has to be you because your PIN was used. Well, that's not true. If your card was skimmed, as I just described, then it certainly could have been used by a crook. Whether it's chip enabled or not, it depends on how far the crooks want to go. With the EDD thing that's been going on for the past 2 years, it's just easier to use non-chip enabled card. Other non-chip enabled card include things like EBT cards and some of the other cards that help with benefits and such. So anyhow, just a real brief idea of how they do it, and we'll also explain kind of how to prevent it as well. I'll show you guys a couple techniques that are very low budget, very easy, and hopefully this will keep you from getting hit on your ATM cards. Okay, thank you. So I'm going to show you guys how to protect yourself against a skimming device. They are put on a lot of machines. It's hard to see them, so you want to make sure you use some protective methods to try to block it if you want to keep your card PIN number to yourself, not share with other folks. You already saw the devices they use. So one of the easiest things is any sort of piece of paper. Basically, you could fold it in half like this, create a barrier. Okay, it goes right over the pin, enter your pin. You could use the other hand to cover it. What that'll do is that'll block here, block the sides. Okay. Another thing, if you have a folder, anything like this, most people carry something like this with them. And again, just blocking the sides. I block with my top of my hand. I enter the pin. This is going to stop almost all of the skimming from a ATM machine. Different ATM machines have different formats, but generally they're very similar. So please just pay attention, and if you do get skimmed, you are eligible to be reimbursed by the bank. You just have to make a police report. All right? Thank you.